Everyone is clearly hearing this?
She has to speak a bit slower. She speaks fast.
Allah will bring them from the depths of darkness, meaning Allah will distance the person from the material world that he or she is so dependent upon. A parallel is drawn between darkness and matter in this verse. Matter has no conscious, no awareness of its existence or the existence of any other creature. For example, if you cut a mobile phone in half, the first half is not aware that it's separated from the other half. We can say that it's isolated and has no knowledge whatsoever. Due to these factors, whenever we think of matter's existence, we get a visualization of total darkness and of darkness and total isolation. People who continue to be there in a monastic soul with material wants, they will be like matter, isolating themselves from light or knowledge. If they are so obsessed with the material world, they are not aware of the importance of their existence and the creations around it. And they will be distancing themselves from Allah by doing so. In our modern world today, there's variety in almost everything, from the pumpkin soup we eat to the type of shoes brand we buy. Variety in our material, the world is consistently taking our valuable time. When we spend so much time on these material wants, we forget about our salat, our worshipping, and we forget the need to learn about our purpose, forget the need to learn about the purpose of our existence. Our society is consistently tempting us to submit to these material desires. This is the reason why matter is so dark. It persuades us to submit to the dark side with no light or no knowledge. The only way we can overcome this is by achieving these four things: being mindful of Allah, gaining knowledge of Allah and His creations, knowing and loving and following our imams and prophets, and being around the right people. People who lost the ways of Allah and are obsessed with the material world, their intellectual soul is dormant. It is dormant because they are not using it. Instead, they are allowing their animalistic soul to feed on the material world. There are many characteristics a person has when they are obsessed with the material world. First, they're very talkative. They talk through their five senses. They get emotional very easily. They get angry very easily. They do not think about others. They rather always like to think about themselves first. They don't like to be alone because they're not used to thinking, rather they like to talk. They're always after new material stuff that make themselves happy. They always want more and more. They never get satisfied with what they have. Allah cannot bring a person from the depths of darkness as he or she must learn and gain knowledge. As they start to learn and gain knowledge, they will understand what they have been doing wrong. This person must make sacrifices. They must give up material desires. Allah is the protector of those who have faith. He will bring them from the depths of darkness, and saying that Allah can only bring the person if he realizes his wrong and works to do right. Allah will show him or her the right path. This will enable them to gain knowledge and come out of the depths of darkness.
Why did you stop?
Salawat. Me and Frishta will be continuing the second part of the Al-Baqarah, verse 257. Those who disbelieve their guardians, those who disbelieve their guardians are shaitan, who take them out of the light into the darkness. They are the inmates of the fire, in it they shall abide.
Sorry, can I have a break? I'm sorry, there are few cars which are blocked. If you have a car, Nissan, Semi or some other cars, please check. Because people who had come for the Hajj program are stuck. The cars have been blocked. So if you're blocking somebody's car, please go and have a look.
Hola, you're good.
Or give the key to Ali so he can remove those cars. Semi white color. Thank you.
So you are sure none of your cars are blocking. White is sun. No? And blue is sun. Light blue.
What is it?
Yeah, they have to check already. They've already checked it.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Okay, salawat again, please.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Firstly, what faith is Allah talking about here? He is obviously not talking about any or every faith. Rather, he's talking about the faith which has been brought to people by the Prophet of God and is based on the Holy Book. To be able to become faithful in a religion that's truly from Allah, one needs to gain knowledge, ponder, acknowledge, and finally submit. So how does one reject a true faith, Frishta?
Basically, rejecting a faith like Islam, which is based on logic and requires one to use it, a divine intellectual soul means that he simply decided not to gain knowledge about Allah and His creations. Uses intellect, therefore, did not submit to the faith. As the verse is saying, those who disbelieve their guardian is shaitans who take them out of light to darkness. So Nazia, how does shaitan become our guardian when we reject faith?
Well, as we have previously discussed, rejecting a true faith means you're ignoring your intellect. So you're basically and obviously left with the pressure or control of your animalistic soul. Frishta, now I want you to use your intellectual soul and describe a person to me who only uses his animal soul.
Well, according to what I have learned in MNC, someone who is only controlled by his animal soul has got the following characteristics. One, he is fully controlled by his desires, so their intellect is not active. Two, too talkative, therefore they do not think much. And three, do not like loneliness, which means they feel empty and not want to be left thinking. And three, continuously eating, which shows their greediness. And five, he always dominates others like animals do. And six, they have no respect or shame towards others or belongings.
Oh, I can actually understand now how someone with such characteristics would be drowning in darkness. In contrast, when one is guided from the darkness into light, in other words, it means his intellectual soul becomes dominant over his animalistic soul.
Yes, absolutely, because only when you use your intellect, you can see the light or the reality of everything. Whereas when you are using your animal soul, you can only detect the appearance of everything in the material universe. If you are not seeing the reality of anything, then you are misleading with the appearance of everything, which is real darkness that you live in. So going back to the main point, how does Allah lead one from the light into darkness?
That is a really good question. This verse has been misunderstood by many people who think that if Allah is the one leading people into darkness, then it's not their fault. But it's wrong. With the explanation of the different souls we have, we know that it's only your choice and your own free will. Shaitan is no one to be blamed. He can whisper to you, but he cannot physically force you into doing something. So what happens is that we have 4 universes in us. Material as we're made out of matter. Imaginal universe as we can imagine and feel it in our dreams. Intellectual universe as we feel and use our intellect. And divine universal intellect. Shaitan uses our desires by using our imagination to misguide us. Unlike our imagination, our intellect cannot be used by Shaitan. So when you're using your imagination and not your intellect, your animal soul accompanies your imagination and you would fall into darkness.
It makes so much sense now. How people become so materialistic? So they are impacted by the characteristics of the material world.
What do you mean by that, Frishta? Can you please elaborate on it a little bit more?
You know how we have learned in MNC before that the material world is MNC before that the material world is that world of darkness because matter cannot gain knowledge. Diversity because everything exists individually. Ignorance again because of knowledge. Unawareness as it has no awareness of its own existence nor of its surroundings. Frightening because the matter is a state of absolute unawareness. And distance as it has no knowledge of its surroundings, therefore does not know anything exists.
So you're saying that when we become too attracted to this material life, do you also get the traits that you just mentioned?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, I see how people who are too materialistic, they're not attracted to knowledge. They judge everything by the appearance of it. They're not aware of their reality and has no awareness of others' deeds and needs. The most important thing here is that they feel so frightened when it's close to their death time, they do not know where they're going or what will happen to them. So Frishta, I think this shows why we need to gain knowledge if we want to exit the world of darkness and walk towards Noor, the light of God. So everybody come to MNC and continue coming to MNC because it's great.
Salawat, please. We have chosen 3 ayahs in our team. Mahdia did the first part of the ayah. Rifta and Nazir did the second part, that's 1 ayah. And me and Aini are doing one, and then Anki is doing another one separately. So this is Aini's and mine's presentation. I will do the first part, and she will do the second part. So, okay, this is Surah Ma'idah, verse 16. يهدي به الله من اتبع رضوانه سبل السلام ويخرجهم من الظلمات إلى النور بإذنه ويهديهم إلى صراط مستقيم. The translation is, wherewith Allah guides who seeks His good pleasure to the ways of peace and safety, and lead them out of darkness into the light, and guide them to the straight path. So we will try to relate this ayat to the concept that we have learned in MNC 4. So first we're going to start like when you were a child, when you were just conceived in your mother's womb, you were a pure matter. This was the state that you were in the state of wahshat, ghurbat, Zolma, and ghaibat. These are the states of matter as well. So like matter, you were in the state of Zolma, or darkness, because one, you had zero knowledge about yourself or what was around you, and two, since you had no knowledge, you could not see anything, therefore you were in absolute darkness. So these things are hard to imagine because as soon as you try to imagine being in that state, that means you have awareness. But you try to imagine that this thing, you are in that state and you are watching yourself from outside. So again, like matter, you're in the state of ghaibat because you did not even know that you existed and you were absent yourself. And since you could not feel your own presence, you could not feel the presence of anything else. So again, you were in the state of frightening because you don't know who you are, where you're going, what has surrounded you, what is going to happen to you. So that's what's scary. And you were in the state of ghurbat or loneliness because you had no connection to yourself, no connection to your surrounding, and no connection to your higher universes. So the first step you took towards life and awareness is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you the planted soul. When you received the planted soul, you started to move and grow. So that's when we were in absolute darkness. This is the first light that Allah gave you. Then He gave you more light by giving you 5 senses. You know them like see, smell, touch, taste, hear, and touch. And so this was not enough. He wanted to give you more light so you could understand, you could have more understanding and more idrak. So He wanted you to be able to see things, imagine things when they are not even physically there. So He gave you the ability to imagine. And that was not enough, so He gave you the intellectual soul. And this soul is what makes you human and what makes you special. And only with this soul you can know Allah and get true knowledge of Allah. And Aini will be presenting the next part of this. So,
The second part that I'll be presenting is the ayah. Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken you out of absolute darkness and has given you the ability to reach the ultimate light, which is He Himself.
Can you speak louder?
Allah guides those who want what Allah wants. What does Allah want to do for us to do exactly? Is that louder? The purpose of our creation is to worship Allah or to know Allah, to become a real human or an insan, to use our intellectual or human soul and make the soul the commander of our actions, to get close to Allah, which means to be able to reach the universe of intellect. He will guide them to the straight path. What could the straight path exactly mean?
are guided in the straight path, you have the following characteristics. You are using your intellect when making decisions, not your emotions. You follow the footsteps of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. You become universal, which means you will no more be selfish. Rather, you would think of other people's before yourself. Hence, you become selfless. You see your own faults and shortcomings all the time and have no time to judge other people. You always know that you do not know enough, so you are always increasing your knowledge. You always use your intellect to make any judgment, not just your imagination. You always think about the reality of everything, not only the appearance. So here I end with the last salawat, and thank you for listening. Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I relate the ayah, Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 16. I'm just going to read the translation. Say, who is the Lord of the heaven and the earth? Say, do you take them beside him guidance, who do not control any profit or harm for themselves? Say, are the blind and the seeing are alike? Or can the darkness and the light be equal? Or have they set up with Allah associate who have created creation like His, so that what is created is no. So like His, so what is created become confused to them. Say Allah is the creator of all things and He is the one, the supreme. I relate this to the subject we learned, matter. Matter has no idrak of its own existence, nor of its surrounding. Matter does not know about its benefit or harm. It's like a sports car or high-tech devices or food, etc. The car does not know what speed it should run with, or the computer does not know what website it should serve. Also, the food we consume does not know whether it's good for us or not. Matter is full of diversity. Think of today's world, invention and creation. Man is running after variety of material objects as they are their gods, and he has to worship them. Man focuses too much onto these things that he has forgotten about his creator. Diversity has made him stranger to himself. As Imam Ali alayhi salam said, if you know yourself, you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Matter is full of ignorance due to the absolute lack of knowledge. One of matter characteristic is ignorance. What is ignorance? When you do not have knowledge of the surrounding. In the other hand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave human intellect. By using that intellect, we have to learn real knowledge in order to know our Creator and His creation.
desired, and they do not content with themselves. So they feel empty from inside. Therefore, they have lost their way, and they frighten because they do not know their final destination. Matter is chattel of deception. We are deceived by shaitan. The most serious danger of deception is that it casts a screen between intellect and reality. Therefore, the defect and shortcomings such as gluttony, greed, or madly rushing upon false pleasures cannot be noticed. Deception is on the top in the list of matter that distract from being ready for the life to come and taking along provision of the righteous deed. Blind and the seeing cannot be equal. With our physical eyes, we can see the beauty of this world, which blind people cannot see. But here, we talk about the internal eyes. People who are blindly following the trends and custom of this material world, they are blind. But in the other hand, people who have faith and knowledge and they follow the instruction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Ahlul Bayt, they are the people who can see. Darkness and light cannot be equal. When a child is born, he has a light of natural faith. We can say this is a general light or maybe in a state of potential. He has to actualize this by learning real knowledge and practice. Another point that despite the difference, it is possible that light and darkness to be present in one place at one time. When the believer acquires correct faith, he goes out from that darkness into the light of knowledge and good deeds. And the disbeliever, by the disbelief, goes out from the natural light into the darkness of disbelief and evil deeds. Accordingly, light is used for correct belief and removes the darkness of ignorance. There is a tradition, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam has said, the light is the progeny of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the darkness are their enemies. When we disengage from matter, we can go to a higher universe, higher hour. What is the process of disengage? When we dissociate anything from its lower level and take it to higher level. The desire to survive in this world is not discommanded at all, since its purposes are acceptable. Allah says in the Quran, eat and drink, but do not overdo it. If we do not attach to this world, attach to this material world and use these material things wisely to benefit our hereafter, because all the matters are source of perfection and kamal. So it can take our heaven. Amir al-Mu'mineen Imam Ali addressed to his son Al-Hassan, enliven your heart with preaching, energize it with your belief, firm belief, humiliate it by recalling death. Make it see the misfortune of this world. At the end, I'd just like to say the dua of Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. Imam Sajjad said, "Oh Allah, increase my life so I can spend it in fields of your obedience." Thank you. Salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل